Hi all, greetings to one and all. This is Veda from grade 11 studying in GEM School. Today I have my classmates doing a short role play on the lesson The Address by Marga Minko. The story is about the human predicament that flows pre-war and post-war periods. The story narrates how a daughter goes to her native place after the war in search of her mother belongings. Now, The Address by Marga Minko revolves around the theme of the crisis that war brings. It is all about the destruction, pain, and loss of lives which impacts humans in various ways. However, the story speaks about the narrator and the mother's life, how they are disrupted by the war. We see what it does to the humans and their behavior. You can feel the pain, grief, and mental torture the survivors of the war have to go through. It is all about the author's story, who is a Jew and returns to her native place after war. After suffering many losses, she even loses her mother. Further, it is also how she handles the world alone, but after going through a lot of pain. Coming to the characters, we have mainly 4 characters in this lesson. Firstly, we have Mrs. Yes, who is a Jew and a rich woman. Secondly, we have Mrs. Dolan, who is not a Jew and not a rich woman. Thirdly, we have the main characters, that is the narrator, who is the daughter of Mrs. Yes. She had lost her house and mother in the war, and now she has come to take her possessions from Mrs. Dolan, an acquisition whose address was given by her mother years ago. And last but not the least, the daughter of Dolan, who lets the daughter of Mrs. Yes into the house.
Hi, do you know me?
The woman looked at me searchingly. She had opened the door a kink. I came closer and stood on the step.
No, I don't know you.
Are you packing all the things?
Yes, I'm packing all the things. Whenever you return, you can take it from me.
Thank you.
Perhaps I was mistaken. I thought perhaps it isn't her. I had seen her only once, fleetingly, and that was years ago. It was most probable that I had rung the wrong bell. She was wearing my mother's black knitted cardigan. The attire was rather pale from washing, but I knew now that I was right.
I'm Miss Yes' daughter. You knew my mother?
What? Have you come back? I thought no one had come back.
I had come back. I have come here especially on the train. Could you talk to me for a moment?
Sorry, I'm not interested. Later.
As I walked slowly back to the station, I thought about my mother, who had given me the address years ago. It had been in the first half of the war. I was home for a few days, and it had struck me immediately that something or the other about the rooms had changed. I missed various things. My mother was surprised I should have noticed so quickly. Then she told me about Miss Dolan. I had never heard of her, but apparently she was an old acquaintance of my mother.
Hey Mom! Mom, what is she doing?
Every time she comes here, she takes something home with her. She took all the table silver in one go. She even took the antique plates that hung there. I'm worried. She is taking so much trouble lugging those large vases.
But why are you sad?
I'm worried. She got a crick in her back from the crockery.
Have you asked her?
I would never dare ask her. She herself suggested that. She even insisted. She wanted to save all my nice things. Moreover, it is better let her safeguard them with her.
Have you agreed for that?
See the risk she takes every time.
Meanwhile, I had arrived at the station without having paid much attention to the things on the way. I was walking in familiar places again for the first time since the war, but I did not want to go further than was necessary. I didn't want to upset myself with the sight of streets and houses full of memories from a precious time. In the time back, I saw Miss Darling in front of me again as I had the first time I met her. It was the morning after the day my mother had told me about her. I had got up late and downstairs I saw my mother about to see someone out, a woman with a broad back.
This is my daughter.
Mom, does she stay far away?
Marconi Street, number 46. Do remember that. Once the war gets over, you have to go to her and get our things back.
Okay. I may or may not be alive.
I had remembered it, but I had waited a long time to go there. Initially, after the liberation, I was absolutely not interested in all that stored stuff, and naturally, I was also rather afraid of it. Afraid of being confronted with things that had belonged to a connection that no longer existed. No way, those are the reminiscences of my mother, and I want it at any cost. I will go back to Miss.
Who is this? Whom do you want?
Is your mother at home?
She's doing an errand.
No problem. I'll wait here.
Okay, come in. Please come in.
Thank you.
Please sit down.
Thanks.
You're welcome. My mother may arrive at any time. I have already prepared tea for her. Shall I make another cup for you?
Yes, please.
Just a moment.
I sat on the chair beside the table and ran my fingers to the pattern of the tablecloth. At the edge, there is a burn mark. This tablecloth got burnt at my home and they had never repaired it.
Please have it.
Oh, nice cutlery.
Oh, really? Thank you. My mother says it is an antique. We have got slots more. See for yourself.
I don't need to follow your hand. I remember every bit and corner.
What do you say?
I remember once my mother told me,
Would you help me polish the silver cutlery?
I fell ill. That's why I stayed back. Anyway, you never asked me for help. By the way, which silver?
The spoons, forks and knives. Of course.
Mom, I never knew that the cutlery weight of every day was silver.
What else do you think?
I have a train to catch. I have to go.
Don't you want to wait for my mother?
No.
Bye.
Marconi Street, number 46. The address was correct, but now I didn't want to remember it anymore. I wouldn't go back there because the objects that are linked in your memory with the familiar life of former times instantly lose their value. And what should I have done with them in a small rented room where the shreds of blackout paper still hung along the windows and no more than a handful of cutlery fitted in the narrow table drawer? I resolved to forget the address. Of all the things I had to forget, that would be the easiest.